Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So I got some updates for you for the garage this week. We got the Pete's yesterday for our Wednesday night special, but it really wasn't anything amazing. We swapped the heater core on his Bronco, which wasn't really anything Fox body centric. So it took us, me and Pete about an hour to knock it out. And that's, I didn't really think it was video worthy, so we really didn't whip the camera out to do anything about it. So I'm just going to show you here what's going on in the garage for some updates. And should be kind of interesting if you're into engine building. I'll bring you in here and I'll show you what we got. Alright, here's the Y302 heads. And while I was waiting for a lot of the parts coming from the States, in order for our 302 engine project, there's a lot of things on back order and it's going to take longer than I hoped. So the pistons that I ordered are going to be the end of this month, into May. The rings are going to be the end of May. And two other things for this are going to take until the middle of June at the earliest, and hopefully they don't push the date back any further. And those two things that we're going to be waiting on are two valves. So I went, while nothing was really going on, I wanted to get these heads back together, bag them up, stick them to the side, and wait for things or more things to happen. So I bust them back out and we're ready for them. So I took the valves to a machine shop to get them ground. So a local machine shop still about a half an hour drive away from me, which is, if you call that local. But got them back, or I stood there waited because they actually wanted to knock them out while I was there. And the guy came up and said two of the valves were bent. So you can, I probably can't even show you on this camera with the light, but there's a certain area that cleaned up. And there it's cleaned up, and there it went back to old valves. So these things were bent, and I wanted to know how much they were bent. And so I stuck them in the head, and I put the flashlight in there, and I was spinning them. And even after re-verifying the valve job with my valve grinder, I was still getting light under a lot of the seats. And I was like, well, I just got these things ground. I mean, you do the pop check, the exhaust valves bounce. Here, pop, pop, pop. The intakes are just thud. Oh, they're double pop, but still. That's what you want here. Thud. So immediately it concerned me that the intake valves or the seats were out of tolerance. So I double checked my seats, and oh, they're good. So how could I check the tolerance of the valves? I shine my light in there, like I did in the Thunderbird Turbo Coupe head video, and I can see light shining. And I'll show you with my iPhone camera of how you can see the light coming through the valve seat. Yeah, so this is what I'm dealing with here. So high spot's coming around, you see it gets kind of dark, and then it gets brighter through the low, goes away with the high spot again. So these valves have been just not ground accurately. So I can show you the others, but it's all just the same. So yeah, these valves got to go back. And I'm going to use a different machine shop with more modern tools. So I determined that the exhaust valves were within tolerance. They're about within 1 to 1.5 thou. And all of the intake valves were at least 2.5 to 3 thousandths out of round, because I built myself this little checker. So when you ain't got nothing else going on, this is this kind of stuff I get up to in the garage. So I had an old a base plate from something, and I had these little metal stands with the ball ends on them. It was for like an articulated arm thing. So I cut them off, and I drilled and tapped them and mounted them. And first I assembled this together, and I started to check things, and I couldn't hold the tolerance because this stand is not very thick. So it was kind of flexing and bending. So I TIG welded on these little strut arms, and that solved a lot of that, most of it anyway, because it's still just between here and here, that if I wanted to get all the tolerances out, I could do that. But it's rigid enough now to use. So if I spin this valve, and I try not to get any glare in it, Oh, come on. Yeah, that'll work. So there it's at the low spot, and I wrote on the back of the valve an L. So, and it should go up to about 3 thousandths there. It went a little past it. Yeah, it went a little bit past my high spot. So if I go back around again, about there, it corresponds with the high spot on the valve. And so what am I going to do? Yeah. Fresh machine valves from the machine shop, way out of tolerance for a round, because the English people, they don't have engines with valves this big usually to even bring it back to a shop and complain about it. They have like little 4-cylinder valves or 4 valves per cylinder or stuff like that they're doing. So am I the first guy ever to come back to them and say, hey, your machine sucks? Because I saw the guy doing it, and it wasn't a new machine. I mean, this machine was from the 40s, 50s, or 60s or something that he's grinding on these valves. I mean, it's got an acceptable finish. You know, because the larger diameter valve you turn, the more error and run out it's going to have. So valves this size were okayed within tolerance. That's the bread and butter. That's what they do 99.9% of the time. So here I come with a big 195 intake valves, and you know, I'm out 3 thousandths of tolerance on every single one. So do I go back and complain and they keep grinding and grinding and grinding? Or do I take it to find another shop that has more modern equipment? So this is the kind of, I wouldn't call it SHIT that I'm dealing with, but this is the kind of shit I'm dealing with. So delays and things I gotta try to figure out. So that was like one of the big gut-wrenching grumblers that I've had in the past week working on this engine. We did have a couple of stripped threads in the head, so I have a lot of helicoil stuff. I mean, don't get caught out needing standard SAE threads overseas, because nothing will stop you more dead in your tracks than a stripped thread. So I got helicoil kits, metric and standard. These are my old single ones I had. Then I you know, ponied up and bought big kits, because you don't just want to have a size that you need and you're missing. And normal helicoils, like what is this size that I needed? It was a 5/16-18 is the thread size for small block forward intake manifold bolts. So you can see it was in there pretty nice. I made sure they were on all the right angles and stuff, but a standard helicoil is like this, and it's only got like 6 wraps around it, 6 threads. So I wanted full engagement for the threads, so I ordered and got in these, which double length. There's 12 wraps around. So this is what I tapped and threaded and installed in these 3 holes. So, and that's a permanent good repair there, and being, you know, a steel insert, probably stronger than the original stuff, whatever it was. So won't have to worry about that again. But these kits are pretty great, made in China of course, but if you need something, you need something. I wanted one with the drill bit, the tap, this tool, and this even comes with the break off tools. But I even have these big honking ones because I needed one once for a head bolt for a 289, and I wasn't going to use a short little 6-turn helicoil when you put like 80 foot-pounds of torque on these things. So I had to order up the whole pack. I think a pack of 20 or something like that's in there, and I used one. But yeah, so head's good, waiting on the valves. So yeah, we did get the F cam off of John, so that's going to be sitting here waiting. Crankshaft cleaned up, so when I take everything in for balancing, that'll be all good to go. There's the rods still and the main caps and stuff. So just waiting till mid-June for those darn valves, and hopefully it's not going to be any longer. So, but that's pretty much the garage update for now. If you guys got any questions, just put them down in the comments, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. So when something else fun happens, I'll put it on video, because if it's not worth putting on, or video for me, if not interesting to me, I don't make a video about it. So, but thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you guys again soon.